what you're doing, how you doing, what you're doing, and who you are. Flex yourself, impress yourself. Check yourself, don't wreck yourself. If you know me, then you know that I be knowing what's up. Hey, Stephanie Graham is nosy as
You're listening to WLPN LP Chicago 105.5 FM Lumpen Radio. Welcome to Saturday. Welcome to 2 o'clock. I'm your host, Stephanie, and today I'm talking with Radius, also known as Ra, Radius, etc. He's a multidisciplinary creative and a true all-city Chicago native with deep roots on the South Side and a vibe that's rooted in hip-hop, community, and wellness. So, Radius, welcome to noseyAF.
Greetings, Stephanie. Thanks for having me.
So, one thing I wanted to bring up quickly is that recently on your Instagram stories, you were showing sort of this book of cooking, how to cook something. You were studying food, and I never study food. I just eat it and just go out and socialize around food. And so I was like, oh, that's so smart.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure. Hey, I'm not sure what it was in reference exactly, but there's some things there that you mentioned that are in alignment with my day to day. I do study and immerse myself within food, especially when it comes to the holistic elements of it, the natural elements in relation to it. Yeah, it's a huge part of my living, and I like to bring it more into the living space in general and pay it forward. And so,
yeah, I admire that about you.
I'm grateful for that. You know, it's been something that's been within my being for a long time, and it's constantly expanding. They're one and the same to me with the music, and I'm really tapped into that in a similar way as I am into music. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. For sure. So,
yeah.
Anything with the living element, the life, and bringing more life into the vessel, into this body, and this is essential because that's what we are, natural living beings.
It just made me think I should take food more seriously.
Oh yeah,
oh my God, so childish.
Well, we all should, and I don't like to use absolutes when to others you should and you should do this, but I think collectively it is important because we'd better understand our relationships with ourselves and thus all creation if we did, So there's an internal and an external connection with that, So it's it's very important I feel if we want to thrive.
Radius as food chef.
Okay. Yeah.
And you talk about decolonizing through food. And so I was wondering if you could break down RA foods and why they matter, and especially for Black and brown folks, because like I said, and I know that a lot of people think this way, probably, I'm assuming, that it's just such a social thing to me, so I don't think about, I just go back to you studying food.
Right.
But it seemed you really study it versus just and it's going to sound ignorant on my part, but just being a chef, learning to just cook.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you've touched on a lot of elements and they all intertwine. And so it brings an autobiographical thing that I would touch on as far as so with my names and then also those endeavors and in the study in themselves are a living entity as well. If I, from off top, if I go into, for example, well, I'll start with this. Okay. So Radius in itself, that name is people mostly know me as Radius for music production, music performance, records and music that I've released and, DJing and things like that. That's mostly where the Radius, the name stems from back in, I want to say late high school, really being immersed in hip hop. So it starts off as a tag graffiti name and essentially goes forward into b-boying and dancing. Just being so immersed in hip hop. My alias Radius comes from that, buying records and DJ Radius initially, and then dropping that off because I just embodied Radius. don't need to say, I don't feel you need to say DJ this if you embody more than that, and that's who you are. And people start to call you more who you are based upon their introductions to you and their aliases and their tags and things like that. So, and then when it comes to the chef, the holistic wellness, I have Ra's Natural Abundance, RNA, and is uh, Ra is the prefix of Ramon, which is my birth name, also the prefix of Radius, and other people calling me Ra for short, especially in Spanish and Latin community. I noticed that, and especially with women, they'll shorten it too and say Ra, And as I was moving around more so within Mexico and other lands like that, I embraced the Ra more. I was already kind of doing that because it was shortened by some others, but I was embracing it more also because of the Kemet and Egyptian and just the relations to the sun that so many of us have, and of course Sun Ra, and just anything related to the sun. I really, really run with the sun. Like the sun is a big thing to me, and so that brings that element. I usually like to stand in the sun and do stretches, and so when it comes to raw food, a lot of people say raw food, RAW. But if you go a little further in, sun food, uh, that's where the raw food can be. And I'm inspired also by that from one of my teachers, master teachers based in Panama, who I'll be going to study. I'll probably, by the time this airs, will be out there working with him again, studying with him in Panama again for some things. Dr. Aris Latham has sun-fired foods, and he's known as a gourmet, raw gourmet godfather of raw gourmet cuisine, sun-fired, where the sun is the chef. And everything that we have is already in the perfect condition, cooked by the sun. We thrive the most highest by the sun. And even if we don't have the sun, we need to consume it. And that consumption is by sun food. And the foods that receive the most energy is our vegetation. And that's what we thrive the highest off of, sun food. So raw food, essentially living food, raw food, so to speak, is where we would thrive as our highest, because that's how we started. And so with Ra's Natural Abundance, I'm saying this is the natural sun element. This is the natural food. And that's how we'll thrive, because abundance is our birthright. So that's that hopefully that sums up those right there.
Yeah, I love that. Abundance is our birthright.
It is, though. It is. So, yeah.
Yeah, especially, you traveling to be with this master teacher, that sounds very abundant and luxurious, even.
Yeah, well, I studied with him in 2021. Just a month ago, 4 years ago, I left New York, put some stuff in storage, thinking I'd come back to New York a little bit later. But it was just, that's another story. I moved there for an opportunity. It was pandemic time. And I moved there just before pandemic time. And, just in January 2020. And then I had a space I was working within for an opportunity there. I was doing Airbnbs, flipping Airbnbs in exchange for rent for friends of mine that moved up north. So to have rent taken care of in New York is a major thing.
Yes.
And I was already doing a lot of nomadic endeavors, moving around and pushing art. And I found myself in Chicago after doing a gallery here and trying to figure out what I was doing and in and out of it. Still trying to figure it out to this day. Yet I had an opportunity that a friend presented. I moved there, and the agreement was, I'll take care of your train transportation and your housing if you take care of the 2 Airbnb properties that I got. And we go up north. And so cool. Yet also I started to look for work too, because I was like, I'm not making any money doing this, but I am holding that down. And I got hired by some restaurants. But anyway, I ended up, so as time flew a little bit, that situation changed. So I had to go stay. I ended up moving in with 2 friends of mine. because I couldn't sustain that place. And then as time went on, I was like, man, I really want to live alone again. I was really embracing that a few months in, having that. And then after moving around so long, not having a space of solitude to myself, I was grateful to have that. And I'm like, I can finally build that in New York. And that dynamic changed. So I put my stuff in storage. I couldn't afford to be alone. And I went to go study with Dr. Iris. I had some money that came through. And so now this is 4 years later since I linked with him to just tap in with him again and now be a part of his retreat a different way and see what other opportunities could come. So,
Yeah, that sounds super exciting and, again, super fancy. I'd gravitate towards things that are fancy and that sound,
yeah,
you know,
well, fancy,
luxury. So,
yeah, but luxury in a sense of not like balling out of control, but luxury
right.
in a natural way. Like he has roots in Panama from Jamaican and Barbadian ancestry, yet is there educating people on a lifestyle so we can not be sick and we can thrive within our natural element. So like, yeah, I'm going, that's that's luxury in a sense, like, yeah, our life
Yeah.
is valuable. So, yep, exactly.
Was there like a moment where you realized food was like more than just like personal wellness, that it was like political,
Mm,
spiritual, even artistic?
wow. That's a really great question. You took it all in there. I would say a combination. Um, Early on, okay, I have memories early on of being around my grandmother. My family, my family's rooted in Chicago with my grandmother, my grandparents, and above that coming from, of course, the Great Migration in my Mississippi and things like that. So my grandmother held on to certain practices. I just remember her doing certain things in the kitchen with herbs or like cleansing fruits and vegetables with homemade solutions and just certain things that she would say. And I early on didn't like the doctor, visiting the doctor, or these types of practices. There was always something off about it. And I gravitated to an encyclopedia of herbs, Dr. Heinerman. I can't remember when, but I was definitely a teenager and looking into ways to heal myself, so to speak. And these books, coupled with some of the things I remember being around her, started to unlock more. So that's like some of my earliest memories with that, and uh, being also coming up in the southeast side of Chicago, mostly South Chicago, South Shore, Hyde Park, Kenwood, those areas in West Inglewood. Those areas early on, I remember seeing certain things that would pop out that would show some sort of wellness and health in a mix, like colon therapy or like other something would pop up, and I just would have these visions like, what does that mean? So I would see some art of that early on, and as you have me thinking, flashing back. As far as the decolonization element, that grew more as I continued to move around in different places. I've been through like Ecuador and, as I mentioned, Panama and Costa Rica. I spent a lot of time in Mexico and Ecuador too, but way more in Mexico. And also tapping in with Dr. Iris. The decolonization element, and it's interesting because a friend of mine pointed out that colon is in decolonization, you know?
Mm.
And that has sparked something even more recently. A lot of us talk about like our oppressors and land back and defund the police and so many elements of, you know, thankfully we co-founded Love Fridge. We have that's an anarchist mutual aid activity that comes with, that's more of a decolonization element with food.
Yeah.
So it's just to say, if we're going to focus on those things and be revolutionaries, well, you got Dick Gregory, you got Layla Africa, you got Francis Cress Welsing, you got a lot of individuals that tapped into the holistic elements. The Queen Afua. These are people. It's revolution. It's so revolutionary, and to decolonize by us going further into who we are as natural people, living people, and to let go more of the oppressor's food, so to speak, the Western civilization, and so to speak, the ways of eating that are pre-colonial is essential for us to thrive. And I'm really focused a lot on that, especially within our music and art community, more so now than ever, because I see it so much
Yeah.
around me because I'm in these communities, and I don't see them as different community because, once again, this culture likes to separate and make genres and subjects and constructs, but the
Yeah.
overlap it's one to me. So if you want to really decolonize, we really got to go further into that and let go of some of those and not be sick out here.
Yeah. Let's not be sick out here. One thing that's been super popular is like Black travel, Black people travel, women travel solo. Like it's this whole like movement, and you've been to tons of places you've traveled to that you've lived in. And I just wonder if you could speak to what that does for you and like maybe some of those things that you pull from all these different places, like what you bring back to Chicago.
Mm.
Does
Ooh,
that make
wonderful.
sense?
Yeah, the full circle element, like like a bridge, an ambassador, so to speak. You know, a
Yeah.
lot of people are using the word expats a lot, and I don't know if that's really a strong enough thing for it because the more that I tap into this, whether it be through elders I've connected with, books I read, or even most importantly, my own personal documentation and living, struggling, moving through these spaces. Because a lot of how I move is, and a lot of people say they might, over the years, I envy you or I'm jealous of you, or like, I wish I could travel with you. A lot of people don't realize that I haven't taken like, oh, I got this wealth of money. I'm about to go ball out and go to all these places. I haven't lived like that yet. You know,
Mhm.
I my goal is to go to a lot of these places and be invested in personally, rather than to help exchange and educate or do my own accord and go be able to ball out and check what it's like to do things in these places. A lot of my travel has been taking a little bit of what I had or coming back into Chicago or other cities I've lived in, hustling different endeavors I know and then going right back in because I have a strong vision and eye that for what I want to do. And I may not even fully know everything, but I really strive to go into spaces and with intention and there's reasoning for them. Or if I really want to reach a certain space and I'm over here, by this time I want to reach this space and it's like I got to really see that through. I might end up going somewhere along the way because I still want to reach that space. So I consider myself a cultural ambassador, and I look at a lot of our ancestors. Whether you're in Morocco, you have the Amazigh, which is an indigenous term for people that's there, often called the negative term, uh, Berber. Berber means barbaric, but their indigenous
Mm.
word is Amazigh. They're a nomadic people. There are people of the land that move around. You have the Fulani people that are in other areas of Africa that move around. You have gypsies that move around. I feel strongly a lot of us are migration people, and we move in a tribe, and we're looking to connect with each other more. And more of us are coming together. We may have been displaced by our own movements or by slavery and other movements that have come through and displaced us or killed a lot of our ancestors off. So now, we're a lot of us are doing that. We might not know why we are pushed to do that, and maybe there's more for us to unlock. But when I come back into these spaces, especially coming from the south side, southeast, southwest side, and living all over the city. There's a line by Common that I've always loved that's on like Waterford, on like on a song of Most Def and Talib Kweli. I don't forget the whole bars, but he says that, about traveling the world. Somebody asked him about traveling the world, and he finds out that he hasn't been past downtown. Like, I've
Mm-mm.
come across that being over here riding the bus. People don't know what it's like on the other side of the city. People
Yeah.
people might only live within their certain neighborhood or a few around them. They don't know what it's like to go to the west, to the north. I did a lot of that early on. So
Yeah.
for people to even go to another city, let alone another state, another country, is major. So if I come through and I'm able to reflect in my documentation, whether it's food, music, photography, or any other element that I embody from me going through there, I feel that's major to inspire somebody else, and thus going to further inspire me. So yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Another favorite quote of mine from Common is just because you're in a music video doesn't mean you're ballin'.
Yo, and for real though,
Or
right?
like it's yeah.
For
It's
real.
something like that, or like not everybody that has a music video is ballin', something like
Yeah.
that. I'm like, that
Yeah.
is seriously so true.
Yeah. I've been in a few, you know what I mean? So, yeah. Yep.
In your name, Radius ETC,
Hmm.
that has like a whole bunch of meanings, right? Like it's like educate the children and is it educate the children, embrace the circle,
There's a lot of them.
expose the
You
corrupt,
got
like
it.
yeah.
There's a lot.
What was what was the first phrase that came to you?
Wow.
And like how has it grown?
Okay, yeah. So I'm Radius first, and
Okay.
the Radius, etc., came along from a couple different things. One, a
Okay.
lot of people might be familiar with Tall Black Guy. I had a so I had an EP that I did in 2009 called etc., and I released it with some good friends of mine that were based in New York. Um, a crew of mine from Dallas that moved to New York called Gritty Goat. And shouts to my brothers, especially Kevin and Hans. They don't live in New York anymore. But the EP was called Etc. And the goal with Etc. was to showcase that I have other styles. I'm working on other styles. So if you had already known me for this instrumental hip hop element, you can tap into. I'm working more and navigating into the house to techno and broken beat and ambient stuff. So that EP embodied different things. So because
Okay.
I was working on a lot of music, and I was experimenting. I would go to the spots to dance more here, and I was hearing things. I'd go back home and make a lot more. So etc. was like infinity, limitless at first, timeless. And so when Tall Black Guy did a remix on a project, he put Radius etc. in there. As I saw that was one thing. He put that there, but also the digital platforms, Spotify, iTunes, all this. There's other radiuses that exist, groups and stuff like
Gotcha.
that. So for me to
Yeah.
further separate myself from some of them, I hate that stuff and the algorithm. And even if you write them, they don't categorize you properly. So to differentiate, I took the radius, etc., a little bit more. That's another reason, and just kind of. So my label
Mhm.
became etc. Like I started making planting seeds for etc. records maybe like 2011, 2012. And whenever there's a release, especially vinyl, that vinyl reflects in ETC. So the first one, yes, was educate the children. Every release that's related, um, like has that. So there's yes, and I started to think of more. And the thing was, if an artist is on a label, which is really good friends of mine initially, please input another ETC for your project. So ETC is just like what a setter is, limitless, timeless. You can't there the number of et ceteras can be. I've had so many I've forgotten, So yeah, educate the children, expose the corrupt, embrace the circle, excite the crowd, express truth consistently. everything changes, expect to change. There's so many of them, and it's ongoing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Respect and love, because that's what this life is.
Yeah, and I feel like there's like, how folks will have like different cliques. Like I feel like I could be like a Stephanie ETC.
Of course.
And like do something now. Like people can like become an ETC now.
Right. Yo, for real.
Or et cetera.
Yep.
Yeah. I love that.
I
That's so
respect. Yeah, that's what
cool.
it is. It's unlimited. I can't hold it, you know. But I can put it out there for others to gravitate to as they can and add to it. I always want.
Yeah.
I'm always about community and expansion. I'm not about like solo destruction and in this we don't build, So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. For some reason, Big Things Poppin' comes to mind.
for real, exactly. Yeah, yo, for real. Yeah. And I think of an
Oh
ETC
my
for that.
gosh. You also are a musician, a photographer, community builder. Do you have a favorite? Or is it all the same to you?
There was a moment when really coming up, navigating what I say with Babylon Matrix, really coming up within this and seeing how everything is, like I mentioned, constructed and genres and just compartmentalized. So I used to be like, okay, I'm gonna do this. Oh, I'm not spending enough time making music. Oh, I'm not spending enough time doing that. And I used to, oh, I got a block now. I can't do this. Once I broke that out, and once one of my big brother, Ross brothers, Josh son, respect, once he said to me one time, we were working on music in LA. He's from here. He lives in Barcelona now. But once we were working on music and he was like, the box doesn't exist. We got to navigate as if the box never existed. Just get it out of there. So anytime people say, think outside the box, that's still a limitation. When we say the sky is a limit, that's a limitation. That's one thing I've come across. Like, it's limitless skies. There is no such thing as a box. Once I embrace that element more, then it's like, okay, ETC. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
as long as I'm creating, because naturally we're all creators. So people are like, oh, I'm not a creative. We all are. If I'm not working on music, it's going, and I got my camera with me, and I'm making sure that I have it out or I have this other thing out. As long as it's out, I might be in transition. I might be stagnant. There's something that might be throwing me off, but as long as I have something out and I grab it to it and I'm doing something creative, it's going to feed into the other endeavors because it's all one. So I don't have necessarily, I wouldn't say too much of a favorite, but yet I will say that there is something about music. Music is definitely the foundation and the orchestrator of of it all, because the way that I feel when I'm dancing to music, meditating, creating music solo and with others, performing music, DJing, there is no feeling that can override that. That's the ultimate. And I could tell that obviously things are created out of the sound waves. It's pretty obvious. So yeah, I would say that
Yeah.
that's the thing.
That's that's the base. Yeah, for me it's like filmmaking. Like I feel like everything that I think of like comes through like storytelling,
Yeah, and
It's like the foundation of everything.
and when I create music, I see visuals. Just like when
Mm-hmm.
I'm documenting with video or photo, I may have music going. I may be hearing sounds. It's all going in and out. I don't say the audio visual is very strong in the connection.
Yeah.
So yeah, and of course the food is going to empower all that. We all need our nourishment, even though we may like neglect that because we're really involved in our music. Oh, I didn't nourish myself. Once you get that, you're gonna really hone in on all that.
Then with your photography, um you've like brought your camera with you everywhere. Can you speak about, your photography and then like how it breaks out in your zines and your new project, Brooklyn Zoned.
Thank you. Brooklyn Zoned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
That's beautiful.
much love and
Let's
respect.
describe it to the listener. So, listener, Radius is holding up Brooklyn Zoned, which is a zine that is black.
Mhm.
It says Brooklyn Zoned in yellow, and the picture is a city street with the sun coming up,
Yep, standing from a train.
right?
I was standing from a train platform in Brooklyn, and I saw the sun. I think the sun is actually setting, and it
Oh,
says Ramona Setterwell in red, and on the back
yep.
it has my links to my site and my Instagram and things like that, and my label, Etc. Records. So this is a 60+ page documentation, a zine. I've done 3 other books in the past, published trade books. One was the first one was a black and white of different travels. This is like maybe 2018 and in 2019. Well, no, yeah, like around 2017, 2018, 2019. And there was a one after that. That's another documentation of travels, more so in color. And then the third one is specifically Ethiopia. When I would have been through Ethiopia,
Whoa.
Addis Ababa and Lalibela. I have documentation of that and trade books. And so
What's that?
the trade books,
No, what did you say? Sababa?
Addis Ababa, the
What's
capital of Ethiopia.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Addis Ababa. Yeah, Addis Ababa. Yeah. Oh man, Lalibela, Ethiopia. I went there in 2019, a pilgrimage. I went over there in like March of 2019. But
Mhm.
yeah, so those books are the first ones I did, and Brooklyn Zoned. I was living in New York, as I mentioned, in the pandemic time, like 2020, 2020, 2021. Also, got a new camera in 2021. And so this book features analog and digital photography, mostly digital, with my newer camera, with my phone, as well as film with some disposables as well in there. And I was a lot of healing was going on for me at that time, and a lot of creative, a lot of music, because I was living in New York, Brooklyn. I had a spot to myself for the most of that time, and I was going to be, I felt living there long term. I didn't know the pandemic was coming, or none of us did, and also I didn't know that I was not going to be able to hold down the spot that I had, and so on. But I was documenting at that time, and so I feel the zines are really important because they are a moving gallery, just like the graffiti trains are, and you
Hmm.
know, you can take them with you, and you can put them anywhere, and the next person can see them and walk with them and buy them for somebody else and keep it moving. I think it's an art form that came up in more radical times too, punk rock scene and other scenes probably, and now it's being embraced more, and I thought, let me do my works a little differently, even though it's similar to the trade books, but it's a little different of a format. So I figured, let me try it. Let me go this route now, and I'll be doing Morocco and Mexico, and I have folders set of different documentation that I'm in the process of laying out to get more of that work out there, specific uh, locations.
Do you design it yourself?
Oh yeah.
Did you lay it out yourself? Oh,
Hmm.
wow.
Yeah, I've done all the layouts for my books. And to be honest with you, like I started off I know music was always present because I come from a music family, more or less. Yet I was drawing very early and drawing often before anything. So
Okay.
I don't draw much now. And I've recently picked up a little bit because I've been around more writers in graffiti lately. So I've picked up a pen a little bit to try something. But
Mhm.
my drawing was deterred in art school, I feel a little bit, and it went more into the photography and the music, that channeled another way. So I kind of got out of drawing much, but photography really, I feel, captures a lot of that. That is
Yeah.
that element. Yeah.
I feel like there's like a raw honesty in your work, you know? And, you know, whether it's like the beats or the photography or community organizing. And do you think like honesty, the word honesty, is like something that we practice or is it something we channel? Like, how can we be more honest?
Wow. Woo! That's a great question. Yeah, genuine.
Because, you know, folks are acting wild out
For
here.
real though. Well, you know, everything more or less beginning and end of the day start with the self, you know, and
Yep.
and it comes from this nucleus of this space. So am I being honest and true to myself first before I step into any spaces that I'm going to, whether that's a physical space or a relationship space of any kind? Am I being honest, truthful with myself? And so
Hmm.
I feel that takes like a reference another rap line because I'm a big Wu-Tang cat coming up. Capadonna. He says every other day I have a by myself meeting. It's important to have a. I think he said it's either every day. I think he says every other day. Maybe either way. But like, cause off top, I mean, I hear it, I know it. But like, you know, you gotta have a meeting with yourself and check yourself, but also not overthink. And I can get into that, and that's been the
Oh,
death
God,
of me
yeah.
to a degree in certain spaces. And I'm getting
Me
better,
too.
but that also shows that how important the breath is and breathing and being present. But the more we're present with ourselves, then we know, okay, I'm not being honest. Be more honest with yourself first, and or life is going to check you, and definitely has checked me in times. You know, I really feel it's so important to be honest. And, you know, I can't not be.
I love this by myself meeting. Like, what's your morning routine like?
Well, I've gotten into some of our distractions though. So I depending on where I'm at, you know, certain time living situations aren't the most fitting sometimes. But I'll grab that phone sometimes. That's a bad thing. You know, I'll
Oh,
grab the phone.
me too.
And I'm
Yeah.
I'm better when I put the phone in another side of the room or out of the room. You know, and I got to do that again. But when I'm not doing that, I usually give thanks first off for life. You know, I do my best to go in how I go to sleep most of the time, and that is just being grateful for being here. And I want to do more of that. I didn't even do it today, so I'm gonna say it right now. I give thanks for life. I'm grateful to be present. I'm grateful for life. I'm grateful for another opportunity to be here and be present and thrive. And I'm grateful for you for having me here with you and for bringing me in.
Thank you.
But like giving thanks first off is the more is a thing, and doing some sort of stretching and breathing is good, even if it's a quick one. Just doing a little bit of that connection with the body uh,
Yeah.
is a, and then I'll gravitate into breaking fast a little later, and I'll usually bring in the most hydrating fruit I can for my hydration, you know, for my electricity and for my just to cut the lights on, so to speak. So usually that's
What fruit is that?
usually it's a melon. Usually it's some sort of melon, whether it be watermelon or honeydew melon or cantaloupe or canary or Crenshaw or one of the melons, because that's the most hydrating outside of the coconut water. That is the most electrolyte heavy next to cucumber, which is also in the same family. But I usually start with a melon. And it's going to digest the fastest. It's going to cleanse the fastest. It's going to just do what it do the fastest. It's like some of the best water you can ever bring in the AM.
Hmm.
Highly electrolytes. So that's first. Or I'll take some spring or distilled water and squeeze a bunch of key limes into it. Because that's gonna alkalize and make the water structured and more vibrant. Because this empty water isn't gonna do anything. So you gotta activate it like you would the fruit, make it into a fruit, so to speak. So I usually do start my day with that or juice, and that's pretty much a juice once you activate it with some citrus. So That's usually it.
I see why people say they're jealous of you. You're really living this, like, creative life out here, like,
Yo,
so fun,
well,
so glamorous,
I
wow.
mean, hey, this is our original
I need to get
ways.
some key lime.
You got
I'm going
to.
to the market to get
There
some
you
key
go.
lime.
And any citrus, preferably with seeds, shall help you to start off. They're acid,
Mhm.
but once they go in, they turn alkaline and they get you ready. They have life within it and they're gonna bring more into that. A lot of people start their day off with coffee. That's on them. But if you think about it, like that's a process. That's a process. And
Mhm.
it's a heated process and it's a darker substance. It's like, well, as far as aesthetically and what it contains, and it's an acid. I think that if I was in nature, like our fellow primates, our fellow hominids, I would be going immediately for the true fast food, and that's picking some off of the tree or off the vine and eating that first to start my day to get the lights going. And
Okay,
this is
okay.
something that I've learned over time, tapping into experience, studies, and direct education as well, a combination of those things, and how do I feel when I do that? I'm ready. Even if I only got 4 hours of sleep, my body's like, yo, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay, I'm definitely a coffee person, so I'll have to think about that.
I would break fast with something natural that digests really fast, get the lights on first, then bring your coffee in. Because coffee is a
Yeah.
diuretic, yeah, but it's gonna also dehydrate you. So,
You know, if I can ask another selfish question, because you're like, all with the food, the recreational sugar, candy,
mhm.
you know, when we were talking, outside of this year, like, oh, you can have like a date for like sweets,
You
but
remember.
do you have any suggestions
There
to
you
get
go.
off of recreational sugar? Because I know like in like American diet, right? Like maybe sugar is hard to get out of
Mhm.
everything, but so that's why I say like recreational, where it's like, you know, sharing a Starburst
There you
or,
go.
Jelly Belly. Oh my
Ooh,
gosh,
okay. Right, 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 taking it back.
Any suggestions?
Skittles and all that. So, let me say this, I'll say a couple things. I'm still continuing on in this form of, this human experience and this self-mastery. I'm continuing on. I'm still a student. I'm still a baby.
Yeah.
I'm not a healer. I am a conduit in a space as a bridge. So I'm gonna continue to unlock this, and I'm open for more knowledge and wisdom and to share and exchange. So I'm not coming with any absolutes. Let me just put that first off.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And also to say, I grew up all over the city of Chicago, mostly Southeast and Southwest. Hood. It was all around me. The the fast food, the sugary snacks, the chips, the salty stuff, all around me. So I didn't start off like this. And
Mhm.
I'll say, and I give much love to my family, especially my mother. My mother started us off on when we go to gatherings, you and your brother got to share a soda. You can't drink a whole one. And we might sneak one, but we wasn't having a bunch. My mother started us off like that. And I used to take lemons and strawberries and dip them in sugar and eat them. I used to make Kool-Aid, don't get me wrong. I used to put fresh fruit into the Kool-Aid at a point. Some told me this makes sense. So only to say, all that recreational stuff, all these refined sugars are out here to mimic nature,
Mhm.
to mimic what we naturally are supposed to. This body thrives off of glucose, fructose, simple sugars. It wants that. And that's why I mentioned fruit earlier. And that's why I mentioned
Yeah.
the importance of fruit and breaking the fast with fruit. These are things here to mimic that. So a way to, first off, is to not have it around, like certain elements of things that I really was into. I had to just really like, you know what? I'm not going to buy this today. I'm going to buy this today. I specialize, and I'm really available and open to anybody who wants to build more about this. I specialize, what I like to say, in transitioning. And if you take the word diet, you see the word die is in it.
Mm-hmm.
Diet, to me, is going to lead to disease, sickness, death. We want to go to out of habit and into lifestyle living. So
Yeah.
the way to shift that, I would say, is increase our ways we hydrate. Like I mentioned earlier, the ways and the value of our hydration is very important. It helps us to curb these cravings. And you mentioned dates. Natural, it just means like somebody might not be consuming, may not be consuming enough fruit, may not be consuming fruits at a certain time. Dates and figs are great things when some people have asked me before, I get a craving late night, I go eat cookies, and dates and figs and other types of fruit can be a way to curve that, or maybe you didn't have enough, or maybe your hydration wasn't enough. And so you're getting into that. Or maybe certain herbs could help you, like burdock root or dandelion, or certain bitter things that can help you. Certain salads can help you to curve those things. But I think, first of all, if any of things we're mainly addicted to, if we try our best not to have as much of it around, or maybe take a day when we don't do that, or another day when we don't do that, and not have it so much around us, and bring something else with us to the function, and be like, you know what, I'm going to stick to what I have here. That has helped me also, and not being also so hard on ourselves, but just,
Yeah.
I think those are some of the ways to do that. If I help, I hope I
Yes,
answered.
I will say, hey guys, instead of bringing Jelly Belly and Hennessy to the party, I have bought figs and dates.
Yeah, I brought some figs and dates. I'm going to share it,
Gonna share it.
Yeah, bring your
We're gonna enjoy
your
ourselves.
own date. Here's another saying that comes. Today is the perfect date to take a date on the date for dates.
I love it.
I made that up. Could quote me on that.
I love that.
But
Big, bring your own date party.
come on now. Today's a perfect date to bring a date on a date for dates.
Wow, what a tongue twister that is.
Oh,
You
man.
say that 3 times fast, you get a date.
There you go.
Oh my gosh, I love it so much.
Yeah.
I feel like we could have like oh my gosh, I bet like your art openings, you probably have like the best food and snacks and
Essential.
drinks and all sorts of stuff you have.
That's essential.
It's the place to be. Your stuff is probably the place to be.
Yeah. And with more resources in the right time, it's going to be even more. I know it. Just this past Monday, well, as far as the day, Memorial Day time, I was in Detroit, and I opened an exhibition with a good friend of mine, Moppy, and DJ Moppy collaborated from Chicago, based in Detroit again now. He just opened up his space called the Mop Shop, and I was the first featured artist.
Like
Yeah, and he's going to be called Movement of People, and other elements is going to come out of that. He's got some other breakdowns for the MOP element too. Yeah, so my exhibition was alive and thriving. And that we had, I cut up watermelon, seeded watermelon, and I cut up some other golden honeydew melon. I made a watermelon mint key lime juice. Well, watermelon tells you what it is. It's water. So I made really a key lime mint water, but
yeah.
melon tell. Anyway, you get what I'm saying.
I love it.
So
I love it,
yeah,
yeah.
I like to have these things. I love curating and coordinating events. I love doing that, and I love to have it all embodied. I love all of the senses to be stimulated, all of them. So you can walk away and not just be like, the music was great or the art was dope, but I feel good. The food tasted good. The visuals are excellent. It sounded good. I want them all to be stimulated, because it's going to resonate long term, and it's going to bring. Also, I like to bring that family element and that home element that I don't often have as being nomadic, or sometimes experience degrees of houses or these other elements of time. I like to bring that, so people are there, man. Oh man, you know how to bring us all together, and we really feel good when we leave, because I'm bringing you into home, and that's so yeah. Yeah, I'm all about that.
Yeah. One question before we land this plane.
Cool.
But Okay, this like fancy water, with the kiwi and stuff. Can we
Key lime.
make it and then keep it by or key lime? Can we make it and keep it by our bed?
Ooh,
Like,
okay.
in case you wake up in the middle of the night and you're thirsty. Is that fine? Or does it have to be cold?
No. It's up to you on how you like to receive. I feel
Okay.
from my experience and knowledge and movements, I feel it's best to to water any type of liquids in more so at a room temperature, more so at our body temperature, and slightly chilled is cool. Of course, we love hot drinks. We love teas and things like that. I think too hot or too cold is not really that great, for and especially depending on the climate and what's going on. But yeah, why not? Why not? But just keep in mind that that hydration level increases to a more vibrant level when you put any type of uh, living entities in it, like you just mentioned, the limes. So you're going to most likely be going to
Yeah.
the bathroom a little more. You know what I mean? So which is a good thing. But if you're trying to sleep, you might not want that. When we're sleeping, we're fasting, our body's repairing, and then you go into breaking your fast in the rising time. So if you go to bed and you have it there, you drink it right away.
Hey,
Hey,
it is what it
it is
is.
what it is.
Yeah. Hey, anything else you think we should cover before we call our conversation?
Unity's in the community. Unity's in the word community. Communication's in there. So as long as our communication is holistic and honest, we
Yeah.
will unify more and continue to decolonize from that which is bringing us any type of lack energy and fear. And
Yeah.
I just would like to encourage us to invest more in each other so that we can thrive. And
Yes.
yeah,
And we'll be happy and healthy.
we will be. But
And
nature
we'll have fun.
will have fun. Nature's got it. So
Yeah, for sure. Wow. Thank you so much, Radius, for talking to me.
thank you
Big
too. Thank you
thanks to
too.
Radius for coming to Lumpen today. I don't know about y'all, but I was at brunch earlier and I hate to say it, but I had coffee. I had coffee before water. And oops. And I hate to also say it, I had a mimosa too. All these things before having my full glass of water. You know what? That's why Radius says that we have to have grace with ourselves because God willing, tomorrow will be a better day. And when I leave you all, I'm going to get myself some key limes. I am really inspired by what he was saying. And you know what? I might even host a brunch. Like, listen, just go with me here. A brunch theme, key lime water. You got your lime green. We got our melon water. We got our dates, our figs. It's super elevated. And we are just having a time, right? I don't know. I just think it could be lovely. If you've enjoyed today's conversation with Radius, he's on Instagram at RadiusETC, and you are invited to check out his zine, Brooklyn Zone, and photography at RamonETCphoto.com. More conversations like the one we've had today are right here on Lumpen Radio. There are so many lovely shows that Lumpen produces here, and I'm really hoping that you are enjoying them and checking them out. My name is Stephanie Graham, and this has been Nosy AF. I hope you're enjoying your Saturday. What are you up to? Folding laundry, running errands, sipping iced coffee after you've had your water and just like vibing out, Whatever you're up to, enjoy the rest of your day. I really hope that it's a casual day for you. Nosy.